Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Leth Talk. My name is Amin Iqbal with LethbridgeRealEstate.com, and I'm super excited to introduce you to this new podcast where we're going to talk about real estate and beyond. So community, various events, and just kind of what gets our community thriving. So today's episode, I just wanted to be a little bit more special. It's my mentor, my friend, the OG, Miles Godlonton.
Gee, thanks.
So thank you very much for being part of the episode of Leth Talk. And it's just a little kind of play on words on Let's and Lethbridge. And
I picked up on that. I thought it had something to do with, but anyhow, I got it.
Yeah, so no, I appreciate you being on here, and it's great to have you on the very first episode. And I still remember our kind of very first interaction that we had. It was when I was running for the board, and you emailed me like you normally do at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And you said, "Hey, I just wanted to say brilliant speech, and you have my full support." And that kind of really meant a lot to me. So that has been engraved into my memory of you, and I'll never forget it.
Well, thank you, but you deserved it because you did something different. You did something unique, and you got people's attention. Yeah.
No, it was a good time, and it was nice to have your support and still have your support and get to know you. And obviously, you're a titan in the industry, so you're a wealth of knowledge. So I always appreciate all the mentorship that you've given me, and you became a good friend over the years, and you make some pretty good salmon burgers. You've been in it since you've a young buck, 21 years old. You closed it was nearly 250 ends in 1 year, and this was before teams, right? That's a big statement. I always say to people, you're the biggest thing to hit Southern Alberta real estate ever. There hasn't been anybody who's came close to what you've done for the industry and what you've kind of produced from it. So, yeah, it's pretty big milestone. So, I guess, what's your secret sauce behind all your success?
Pretty simple. Desire, commitment, seeking out people that are better, smarter, and listening to them and asking them questions, something like what you're doing now. I spent a lot of time with a few individuals that shaped my career.
Yeah. So are these individuals kind of just all local, all real estate oriented? Because you can get coaching done in different business sectors or kind of different avenues. Now, are they all focused on solely real estate, the ones that you're kind of listening to, or do you kind of just take if they're in a different industry, you just kind of extrapolate that and then bring it onto real estate?
It's a number of things. When you're searching to improve, you're searching to improve your skills. You're searching to eliminate weaknesses, and you look forward to people, or you look for people that can give you information to make that happen. So it can be personal, it can be business, it can be real estate, it can be just about anything. I was really fortunate to have probably 6 true mentors in my life, and at different times and different involvement. But and I looked all across North America for the best of the best, and quite a few of them were local and homegrown, but also learned a lot from my American friends.
And to find them in a day and age before internet, right? It's not before you can go to Google and say, who's the best realtor in North America? It's not like that now, right?
So no, it was was different. It was just different time. That's
Yeah.
all. Right.
So do you still have all those books and kind of like resources that you learned from them and everything?
Yeah, and it's funny because selling is selling, customer service is customer service. We are spoiled with all the tools that we have now. In my mind, professionals, selling is a profession, and I'm disappointed at the skill level that's in the industry today.
Yeah.
But that's also an opportunity for persons that want to excel. They have no competition.
Yeah, they can really shine then, right? Like and set
Exactly.
themselves apart. So I still remember, like Mary always brings it up, is like before the internet, you guys used to have this big binder of all the listings, and it used to be like updated maybe like once a week or something like that. And I just thinking about that, I'm like, oh, it's how hard you really had to be on top of things then.
Yeah, Lethbridge is only 40,000 people too.
Yeah.
So a little bit different, but it's all relative. It's all relative.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you used to own ReMax here in Lethbridge, but now you kind of founded and grown LethbridgeRealEstate.com there. So how has real estate in Lethbridge evolved, do you think?
Real estate in North America has evolved, and one of the biggest thing that happened was ReMax to come along. ReMax started in Denver, in the States, Denver, Colorado, and opened the first office in Canada, opened in Calgary, called Lethbridge, or Calgary first. Lethbridge was the second office in Canada to open. But it was a whole new concept. It was a 100% concept, which means basically you're running your business under the umbrella of a franchise. And you paid management fees and transaction fees, or much smaller cost than with a traditional brokerage. So they changed the face of real estate. ReMax changed the face of real estate. Still one of the best franchises in the world. And then a bunch of knockoffs came. Not necessarily better, but different business types, different business styles. But the one thing that has hurt the industry is that brokerages aren't as profitable as they used to be. And so for a person that owns a company, it's harder for them to charge a fee that is fair unless they can provide dynamite service. But it's easier to provide a desk than to provide training. So that's hurt our industry.
Oh, okay. So like, I guess then where do you see our industry going? Do you see a shift in the next kind of 5 to 10 years even further or?
What I see a shift in, and we've seen it. When I started probably the original team. I didn't even know it was a thing. I just needed help.
Yeah.
And now everybody in the business, they get in the business 1 or 2 years and they think, well, I got to start a team. I got to get a buyer's assistant. I got to get this and I got to get that. And what I think you'll see is, and it's no different. The strong will thrive, and the weak will go away. Mm-hmm. And teams will continue to strive because they're doing things the brokerage can't do. They're providing the mentor, the leadership, and they're taking the fee instead of the brokerage. Basically, they've turned the table on them. And it's interesting and it's positive because now you see people in the industry getting started as part of a team, but they're getting a lot more skills or specialties, and so I think that'll continue.
Well, I've noticed some actually, like I don't know too much in Canadian real estate, but there's one in particular where it was he had a big team, he was under an umbrella of a brokerage, but then he opened up his own brokerage named him. And so his team is essentially the whole brokerage. Mm-hmm. And so do you kind of see that kind of shifting more to happen?
A perfect example is Justin Harvey out of Calgary.
Yeah.
Huge team, probably the most successful in Canada.
Yeah.
Or one of the most successful. And his philosophy was, and I read this, that why would I take the risk of the brokerage? And it's a huge risk. I mean, besides the financial risk is enormous, plus the responsibilities that are on a brokerage from FinTrack and from the Real Estate Council and from the Alberta Real Estate Association and every association on a brokerage is pretty huge. So you can run a very successful team under a brokerage without the extra risk and responsibility that a brokerage has. So, yeah, we'll see people move into their own brokerage style because of it. But Justin Harvey didn't, and he didn't for a reason.
Well, I remember somebody had told me they were listening to him to speak, and they said that exact same thing, like, you're big enough, why don't you go and open up your own brokerage? And he said, I want to focus on selling real estate.
Exactly.
I don't want to focus on the back end stuff. That's what they're paid for. That's what they deal with. And like you said, they assume all the risk. I sell real estate, and that's what I'm great at, and that's what I want to focus on. So I agree with that point of view for brokerages. And you need to have, like, honestly, I think a really big big team like something like his to make it even make sense for a brokerage. But if you see somebody as successful as Justin not go that route, it makes you kind of wonder why, right? And so it's not, you don't want to be the kind of the initiator of doing something like that.
Yeah, and the team isn't the answer to everything. I mean, there are individuals in the industry that do amazing work, and their goals in life aren't to sell 1 million houses a year. Their goal in life might be a lot smaller, but they can still be a top agent from a skill set.
Well, being as a team owner too, sometimes, like, if you have the more people you have more costs associated. So sometimes, yeah, you might be doing a little bit more, but are you netting more?
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. And I've had this conversation with many other agents, is that they've even said to me, who have these big teams, they said, honestly, we're netting almost the same as what we were before, because now we have more costs associated with what we do. We do a little bit more marketing. We have all these costs because we have all these other agents, so for training purposes and everything. So he's like, but now I have to oversight all of them, and it's more stress, more work for me. He's like, sometimes I think it's better off going back to the old ways. And you look at some of the realtors who are just solo agents, they honestly, I think some of them, they net more than some of these teams, because, like, we just saw one, right? He's very successful, and I think he's probably one of the more successful agents out there. He doesn't do a ton of advertising. He hits up his network and his sphere, people who already love him, and he does his business, and he's a great guy, right?
Yeah.
And I think he's probably one of the more successful realtors out there, personally.
If the truth be told, a lot of it's about ego. Some people, it's a business plan. Some people treat it like business, and other people treat it like ego. I want to have my name out there. I want to do this. I want to do that. I got caught in that trap many years ago. I backed it up with good work, but it was an ego problem. And the universe has a way of setting things straight, and I got set straight. and it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
But the most successful aren't the ones driven by ego. And the ones driven by ego either will grow and change, or they're not, and they're going to be a dinosaur.
And I heard that from another agent, another friend of mine, and he said, like, he's a very successful as well, and he said the same thing, like, it's this ego thing, and for me, like, I don't care, right? Like, I've seen it all. I came from different backgrounds, and I've seen people who are on the absolute almost top, and then they crash down to the bottom of the mountain, and then you see them become humbled. And then when they kind of start rising the rank, their whole avenue and their whole perspective changes, right? But, like,
the key is coming out of the ashes.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody that's really successful carries a target. Okay. And if you're genuine and you are doing the right thing, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit left of center, there's going to be a correction. And when there is, do you learn? And
that's right.
Do you rise up? Do you become better than what you were?
Exactly. And that's what basically we were just having that conversation about, is like, okay, I learn now. Now I got to become better, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's all it's about. It's about growth and learning from your mistakes. And I think that's almost with any kind of industry. You kind of keep on learning and growing. And do you
remember what I told you early on? And I tell everybody this. Go buy a bad piece of real estate. Huh? Don't I?
You did. I still remember that. And even too, the one client who I just put an offer in on with, he's like, do you think it's a good piece of real estate? I said, any piece of real estate is a good piece of real estate. Either it does tremendously well for you, or it does horribly wrong for you. Either way, you're still learning something. And I said, guess who taught that? I always say that. I said, my mentor told me that. I had that conversation last week with him. I said, my mentor told me, go buy a bad piece of real estate.
You'll learn more from that than any success.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you learn.
I'm a slow learner. I bought 3 bad pieces of real estate.
Hopefully you learn, right? It's not the
Well, if you don't learn, that's okay. The force will deal with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? So, nature has a way of taking care of itself.
if your intentions aren't true,
yeah,
you can hide, but you can't hide forever.
No, and like that's the big thing, right? Like who you are, your heart is always shown, right? Like I like to say is I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I don't care, right? No matter if I'm gonna get in trouble, and you know this, if I'm gonna get in trouble of it, and it's still I think it's right, I will still do it.
It's called passionate. And yes, you are passionate.
Right.
It doesn't make you right, but you're passionate.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have passionate than right.
Yeah.
Right? And if you can get them both, that's winner, chicken dinner. But
yeah,
as long as you're hitting, above 75%, hey, that's excellent.
Well, that's why like I have such respect for you is because like even too a couple years ago when I was sick, and another thing, like I'll never forget what you guys did for me. You guys, okay, like we're no longer going to start. We're going to do this. We're going to help him out, and if he needs anything, we're always here for me, right? Like, so like that was I'll never forget that because when I was at my other brokerage and I was dealing with my father's issue, I was still going on and still doing my duties and responsibilities, and it's not that I can't do what I was doing, but it's the action and the meaning behind it. So you actually really do care, and that's what it shows that you're sincere about it.
Got to have compassion,
right?
Because you know what, everybody needs some.
Yeah. So you don't know. I don't know if I've ever told you, but those two things I'll never forget. Right. So when you hit me up when I was on the board, and what you did back in 2020 when I had gotten ill, those things I'll never forget, and I still speak about it to this day to every like I don't tell them exactly what you did for me in 2020 because that's between us, but I do tell. I said like. This is somebody who actually cares about your well-being in real estate and not in real estate, right? So, yeah, you don't know how much that meant to me.
Well, that's because I love your mom's cooking.
Oh, thanks. And now I'll have to get her to make some more right away here. So you've been the forefront of real estate for years. So, like, I guess what's the boldest thing that you've done in real estate, and did it pay off, or was it big risk and it didn't work out?
Oh, there's lots of successes and lots of failures, but probably a couple that come to mind, or at least one for sure, is in 1981, interest rates hit 21%. I had a 21.
Wait, you said 89?
81.
81.
1981.
I wasn't born then.
Okay.
I wasn't born then.
Yeah. So 1981, interest rates hit 21%. I actually had a 21% mortgage. As you can well imagine, interest rates are 21%. Today they're sitting at 4%, give or take a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, interest rates were back then 10%. All of a sudden, they over doubled. If interest rates over doubled today, if they went from 4% to 10%, it would be as catastrophic as it was back then. People would literally be walking in, and they were handing their keys to the bank. And then I saw a realtor do something that I just thought was wild and crazy. And I copied him. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but when I see something that works, I'm going, that's a good idea. So I rented an Atco trailer. I put it on the main drag on Memograth Drive on a vacant lot. It was the middle of winter, and nothing was selling. And I plastered this thing called the Liquidation Center, and I put pictures of all the listings and come on inside, and we started selling real estate to investors. And that's kind of where I got my, and the truth be told, one of my guys that was helping me was in charge of propane. Forgot to fill it up. Went one day. Everything's frozen inside. The pipes broke. Everything's frozen inside. That was the end of liquidation center. But it's a funny story, but it propelled me down the road to do a lot with investors and personally investing. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of stories, and I could be here all day, but that was a key moment.
Key moment. Nice. No, like, especially in the middle of winter and like when interest rates are that high, like people are probably like, here, take my keys. Cause that's what my parents said is people were walking away. There was dollar sales and everything like that because they just wanted you to take over the mortgage and everything. And that was a crazy time to be alive. Right. So
yeah. And the people that really risked it, and actually I don't know that many that went out and bought a ton. But I can tell you 5 years after, everybody went, oh, man, I should have bought a lot of real estate back in 82, 83.
And at that time, how many years had you been in the business then?
Started in January of 1976. So January 81, 15 years? I don't know, 86, yeah. Do the math. Yeah. Where's your calculator?
Yeah.
10 years would be...
10 years.
Yeah, so 76, 86, 96, yeah.
So I guess you kind of built a name already for yourself though, no?
Yeah, but, you know... It took me 5 years to really get my feet, and then that's when I joined ReMax too, and that was kind of the launch of that. So it all happened around the same. I joined ReMax in 1980.
Okay.
The sky fell in 1981.
Yeah.
Right. So here I am, paying all my own bills.
Yeah.
Mortgage that overdoubled my payments over. We never missed a mortgage payment. Don't know how. Do not know how. Right. Payments over doubled, and we made it work. So, yeah, it was a really good lesson when you're young.
Yeah, no, it's when your back is against the wall, you kind of either really decide like who you want to be, kind of thing, is what I feel, right? Like you either are going to crumble to the pressure or you're going to rise up and you're going to push back, right?
It also tests you as a person, right?
Yeah.
Like it tests you as, am I a good person? Because, you know, a lot of people will take shortcuts. But when you take shortcuts, there's a price to pay. And if you bleed a little bit and you're doing the right thing, you can get bandages.
Yeah.
And you're going to be okay.
It really goes behind like the mental mindset behind things too as well, right? Like how mentally strong are you? Can you really like take the abuse, I guess you could say, and like does that shapes kind of who you are, I think, right? Like as a person, just for me generally too as well, right? Like I've been in some pretty tough situations and I think it's definitely made me stronger, but it's really shaped on who I've become as a person today and what I can how I deal with people.
Yeah.
Right. So no, that's pretty interesting. So I guess lastly then, for any kind of new agent out there, like what are kind of 3 tips that you would give to somebody starting in real estate?
Well, the first one is go and watch what they do.
Go and watch who?
Anybody.
Okay.
Okay. How many open houses happen in the average weekend? Dozen, 20, 30?
Yeah.
Right? Go to as many as you can. Go to as many as you can on Saturday. Go to as many as you can on Sunday. And whatever you see those agents doing, don't do. Don't do it. I can tell you right now, you can put me on the street tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. You and I can go visit open houses. Unfortunately, they know us, but we could go to Calgary, and I was just there, and exactly the same thing happened. In fact, I walked into a show home the other day here in Lethbridge. Person paid to sit in the show home. You walk in, go look at the house. Like nobody asks you the qualifying questions. Nobody engages you, and so can you watch what other people don't do it.
Yeah.
Find out who's the best. Buy them lunch. And if you can't afford to buy them lunch, just say, hey, I respect you. I'm watching you. Can you give me a couple tips? The best in the business will do that.
Yeah.
Always look forward to how can I improve. And there are people that will help you. But don't copy everybody else. Look for the people that are blazing the trail. Look for the people that are in front of the pack, because the view in front of the pack is wide open. The view from the back of the pack is a little stinky.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's tip number 1.
No, that's a
the
big
whole
one.
Tip. That's the big one. That's covers everything.
But that's how you're going to build your profession, right? is you got to be thirsty. You got to be thirsty or hungry. Same thing. I love people with motivation. It doesn't have to be money. Some people, it's whatever works for you. If you don't have motivation, you can't make that call when you're absolutely dead tired and you know you got to make it.
Sorry, just one sec.
You're gonna have to edit that out.
No, it's raw.
So, it's be the best you want to be.
Yeah.
And this business is way too hard to do it half-assed. It's way too hard.
Yeah.
But the rewards are huge.
It's like I've been in retail business my whole life, and it's definitely something like no other, for sure. Right? Like the sky's the limit. Like in any business, sky's the limit. But for me, it was a different learning curve. Right? Like normally I'm used to here's a product, sell it. And now it's like, okay, you don't have a product. I guess I'm the product.
You are the product.
I'm the product. Now I'm selling it.
So why is somebody going to deal with Miles Godlonton? Why is somebody going to deal with Amin? Like what? So that's the question you're always going to ask yourself. Why will he pick me?
Yeah.
How do I set myself apart? How do I show them value? Because if I can show them value, commission is never a problem. Everybody thinks, oh, I got to charge. Commission is not the problem. It's what are you worth? And can you convey your worth? The best people in any industry are the most expensive. The best lawyers, the best doctors, the best athletes. Like, they're expensive. But they're not expensive if they do what they're supposed to do. I can't even remember the baseball player's name. $765 million for a 15-year, biggest contract ever, all time. Repeats everything. I think he's showing his value, because an owner's saying, I'm going to cut you a check over 15 years, and it's guaranteed. It's not based on performance.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah. No, that's the thing with athletes, especially. It's a good point too, right? Like they pay them what it's worth because they know that they're going to receive a return on it down the road, right? And they're going to perform.
And your clients in real estate will do exactly the same thing. You've got to show them value.
Yeah.
Then commission's not an issue. It's just not an issue.
Yeah. No. So, no, those are all great kind of pieces of advice for everybody, especially looking to start kind of. So, no, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about it. And you've really kind of changed the way for it. I really appreciate everything that you've done for me personally. And, well, you're definitely a wealth of knowledge. So we're going to have you back on here, obviously with some different questions and pick your brain a little bit more in depth. And, let us know down in the comments below, who should we talk to next? This is Leth Talk. Amin Iqbal, Miles Godlonton. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.